Good afternoon, my dear people of God, my family of Our Lady of the Woods, and all of God's people of goodwill. Today is Monday, and it is our weekly parish address from me to you. And so I'd like to start, first of all, by wishing all of those mothers this last weekend and yesterday. I hope you had a very beautiful and a very wonderful Mother's Day. And for those of us that are not mothers, that we remember our mothers in special ways. I'd like to start with a little reflection today. And it comes from something that was sent to me called History Repeats Itself. Came across this poem written in 1869 and of course reprinted during the 1919 pandemic. It's called This Is Timeless. And people stayed at home and read books and listened and they rested and did exercises and made art and played and learned new ways of being and stopped and listened more deeply. Someone meditated. Someone prayed. Someone met their shadow, and people began to think differently. And people healed. And in the absence of people who lived in ignorant ways, dangerous, meaningless, and heartless, the earth also began to heal. And when the danger ended and people found themselves, they grieved for the dead and made new choices and dreamed of new visions and created new ways of living and completely healed the earth just as they were healed. It's a beautiful poem, and I think it's so appropriate for what we're going through right now. And it also fits in very nicely with the reading today from our Gospel of John chapter 14. In the Gospel, it says, Jesus answered and said to him, "Whoever loves me will keep my word, and my Father will love him. And we will come to him and make our dwelling with him. Whoever does not love me does not keep my words. Yet the word you hear is not mine, but that of the Father who sent me." What better way to allow ourselves to heal than to take in those words from John 14, where it says we will come to him and make our dwelling with him. That's how we are healed, when we allow God to dwell in us. And so I'd like to kind of open with a prayer. It's an old ancient song that we used to sing a lot down in the Caribbean, and I think it's sung here at different places. And I just invite you to open your heart right now for a healing moment. In whatever way you might be hurting, you might feel forgotten, or I know yesterday some of my family were telling me how they were happy to hear the grandchildren on the phone, but they felt so sad they couldn't be with them or take time with them. Whatever you're feeling right now, open your heart to a moment of healing through this song. And if you know it, join in. It's a beautiful song called Be Still and Know. Just be still. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. I am the Lord that healeth thee. I am the Lord that healeth thee. I am the Lord that healeth thee. In thee, O Lord, I put my trust in Thee, O Lord. I put my trust in Thee, O Lord. I put my trust. And I pray that today we can feel the healing presence of God, that we can put our trust in God and know that He is with us. Amen. So this week, very short and sweet, from the AOD, you know the directives that have been posted on the doors of the church that have just gone up since May 1st, actually. And we won't know anything more from that until Archbishop Vigneron meets with all of the priests on Monday, May 18th. And so we'll all be meeting with him, and hopefully we'll have some other possible news and what we might be planning to do. From the Vicariate, this Thursday, the priests of the Downriver Vicariate meet again with Auxiliary Bishop Gerard Battersby. We continue to kind of go through, how are we going to look and respond to when we're told to reopen? And as I've shared with you before, but also be reminded, it's not going to be like a light switch that happens, like, oh, we're going to flip it on tomorrow and everything's back to the way it was in the parish. It will be kind of slow and steady and gradual. From our parish finance committee continues to monitor the financial situation. Again, I want to thank you so much for the generosity that so many of you have shown. And I also understand the challenges of those who are hurting, financially right now. And so we ask that for those who cannot possibly make any kind of financial contribution, just to keep us in prayer. But certainly I want to commend and thank the Parish Finance Committee. You have some wonderful parishioners who are truly wanting to be stewards of your parish. So we continue to monitor, the collections that are coming in, how we can best serve you, how we can best serve the parish staff at this time. This also, in relation to that, Patty Berenger, our bookkeeper, and myself are just finishing up the payment protection program that we've applied to as a loan to help in the next couple weeks. So hopefully that will be finished by tomorrow. We want to thank St. Vincent de Paul for their continued hard work in reaching out and feeding those who certainly desperately need, some kind of food and some kind of outreach. This Wednesday, we continue our live stream Mass at 10 a.m. And I'm pointing it out to you because it's one of my favorite feasts. It's the Feast of Our Lady of Fatima. I don't know if you've ever had the privilege of going to Fatima. It's a beautiful, phenomenal place. And it's just for me a great moment of how I encountered God through this beautiful story of Our Lady of Fatima with these three beautiful children. So this Wednesday, if you have a chance, if you're free, tune in at 10 a.m. For this beautiful feast of Our Lady of Fatima. Today, we have the fourth in the series of Do You Know Your Faith coming out. Next week, we're going to do one, and I think we'll add one last one. So if you're, free, and again, I'm trying to encourage those faith formation families of our parish to watch this Do You Know Your Faith. You're all invited, and I think we've had a great time making it, with our production team of Jason and Becky's Come On, and of course Claudette and myself, and a little shoestring budget there, as we hear Jason say, but we're trying our best, and I hope you enjoy it. I think it's something that has some merit, and certainly continue. And if you're a grandmother or grandfather in the parish, say to your grandchildren, even if they're not members of the parish, hey, go to Do You Know Your Faith? There's a lot of ways you can still evangelize even if you can't see your grandchildren literally. I'm doing it in my own family right now. You'd be surprised how many of them are not watching me on Do You Know Your Faith? And they're not only going to get some words, but when we can break out of this, they will see me loud and in their face. So please encourage any of our children or young people to go to Do You Know Your Faith? And we continue to kind of look at issues there that might help. We're also planning, I was talking to Jason, probably a new series that we'd like to start, and I'm calling it Take 5, because we're going to take 5 minutes only. Yes, I can do a 5-minute thing. Believe me, you'll see it. Take 5 minutes only. Jason's wondering, but he'll be surprised. We're going to take 5 minutes only, and I'm going to ask 5 questions that will be given to the person. And I would like to interview, and they'll get these 5 questions pretty soon, and they'll know who they are. But I'd like to maybe one day a week, have 5 minutes where you can listen to the pastoral council president, to the parish finance chair, maybe to the evangelization chair, maybe to just a parishioner who's in their home, living alone, or maybe there's a mother or father that want to come on. So we're going to try and do that after this Do You Know Your Faith series, and start where we can just ask certain members of the parish to come on with these 5 set questions, and just to kind of connect with the rest of the parish. And then finally, I have a few books and a few programs for you to consider. We have Thank God Ahead of Time by Solanus Casey. That's just come out recently from Franciscan Communications, or Franciscan Media. And I was reading, I haven't read the book itself, but I was reading the preface of the book, and I think it's a worthwhile book if you have time. It's written, and he's a good writer, Michael H. Crosby. So that's really a cool book to consider. Also on your reading list, you might want to take in, of course, you know that Matthew Kelly has not been dormant during this time. And so he's got a new book coming out, I Heard God Laugh. So I think laughter is a good thing to have, especially in these times. So if you get a chance, consider looking at I Heard God Laugh. So that's the second book I wanted to bring up. There's a couple other things that you might consider. On Word on Fire, Bishop Barron's Word on Fire, there is what's called a free ebook, and it's What's Next for the Church. What's Next for the Church? And it's entitled, the coronavirus, Catholicism in the Time of the Coronavirus. So that might be something for you to consider. I know, if you don't have anything else to do, you're tired of cooking, you're going to pop in some kind of TV dinner, and you've got a little extra time. Finally, this comes from my old retreat center, and you might want to take a retreat. They're actually now deciding that they're going to try to do like a day mini retreat. This is a mini retreat for women via Zoom with Maureen Casey, and it's at the Miramar Retreat Center, and you'll go to the Miramar Register at Gmail, and I'll give this to Jason to put on our website. So if there are women in the parish who might want to do a mini retreat on Wednesday, May 20th, it might be something for you to consider. And again, I will give Jason and Becky at the front desk the information, because we want to be able to reach you as soon as, and in many ways as possible. One little footnote I forgot to mention to you. Someone is trying to hack Father Bob's email at Our Lady of the Woods. Yes, it's a little traumatic moment. I heard it was also something Father Andrew had to connect with. And so I got today from our bookkeeper where it says, and it has my email, frbob@olow.org. And this is what was sent from me to Patty Berenger, the bookkeeper. Hope, and this, I don't know, the person might know me because it starts out, hope you had a good weekend and stay safe. But then their grammar goes off, there's a question mark. Continues, I need to update my direct deposit details for my paycheck. And I really don't get a paycheck, but anyway, that's another story. I'm having some issues with my current bank. Also, can you confirm the pay cycle date, the new direct deposit details be effective? So there's some English problems there too. But I'm just letting you know, if you ever get an email from your priest, frbob@olow.org, that's my email, but it's asking for money, or it's asking for some kind of financial assistance, it's asking for, gift cards. Becky's reminding me, I got a good team here. Gift cards, anything that, I wouldn't be asking that. So if you really have a question, you think, I'm not sure, always call the parish office and ask us whether this is really. Do not respond to me on an email if it's asking for some kind of financial assistance from you, or from some kind of gift card donation or whatever it is. So just be aware of that. We're trying to work on that now. Obviously, there's some very creative people out there who have nothing else to do. And I hope one day that they are converted, they go to the sacrament of reconciliation, and they turn their lives over in positive ways to use their conniving ways into beautiful, positive ways for the church and for this world. So, I always like to close with a little cartoon or something. I sent this to some of my family yesterday because I really felt that some of them were actually this picture that I received. It's a picture and it says, Mrs. Jones got a little too used to watching online worship from home as she comes into church in her house coat, bunny slippers, and cup of coffee. Now, I personally know some of my family during my masses are watching in their pajamas, in their bathrobe, with a cup of coffee, even some of them with donuts. And one of my family said to me the other day, I hope you still do live streaming even after church is open, because it might be a hard time for me and I might have withdrawal symptoms by not coming to church right away. I may have to stay home and slowly wean my way off. So maybe I don't walk in like this wonderful woman in her house coat with a cup of coffee and bunny slippers on. So that's it for today. And I'm going to close with how Archbishop Vigneron has invited us to consider. He says, as a way to invoke the Blessed Mother, and it is the month of May, and if you were watching Faith Formation, you would know that, or you just know it because of your Catholic tradition, the 2 months dedicated to Mary are May and
October.
Yes, October. There's a little fuzziness there with some people who want to say September or October. But those 2 months, May and October, and Archbishop Vigneron, and we're in the month of May, he says, as a way to invoke the Blessed Mother's protection, the Archbishop invites the faithful to pray once per day the Memorare prayer. He says, they tell me you could even use this prayer to accompany your hand washing because it's about 20 seconds, which is what the doctors recommend. But as our Archbishop continues, but in any way, this is an occasion for us to become once more in touch with our confidence in the Holy Mother of God that is our protector in this time of difficulty. I don't know about you, but it was a prayer I learned when I was about 8 years old. I was very touched by the words. And when I was involved in exorcisms in the Caribbean, this prayer really rattled the devil. And so it's a powerful prayer. It's a very deep and profound prayer, asking Mary's intercession. And as an 8-year-old boy, it just struck me, the words, and I was surprised I could memorize it so quickly. It struck me, and it still strikes me now. And so let us end in this prayer. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly on to thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my Mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother, the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. Have a beautiful day, and God bless you. Until next Monday.